Good morning, afternoon and evening, my crazies. My name's Angela, I'm the Crazy Poppy Lady, and welcome back to this week's Whips, Bits and Chat. Come on, let's go and see what I've got for us today. Okay, so this video may be a little bit long-winded compared to my normals because you've escaped me for the last 2 weeks. You lucky peoples. Okay, so first up, let's get on with our video roundup. And so over the last fortnight, we've had a couple of videos go out. I didn't go mega mad. Well, not completely anyway. The first one up was the book review, and it was a Modern Crochet Bible by Sarah Shrimpton. Okay, links to the majority of these will be in the I button. I can't remember where I'm meant to be pointing, and if they're not there, of course, they will be in the description box and down below so that you can click through and watch them straight away. Okay, the next video up was our Friday Die Day 06, and that was a Sabrina Melager's order. And so if you haven't had a chance to see that, you go and see what I created for her. It was quite a fun one, actually. The next video up was a book review. It was Aragorumi Eats by Alison Hoffman. Some really cute, dinky little little foodie things in there. And then I managed to get out the Audi craft event, and that was for the UK. And I also got a short out without realising I'd pushed the wrong button. So there is also a short that came out which was for the Spotlight Australia online offers and also the stuff that's in store. So that was very similar make to the Audi craft event video. So it was the two of them, one for Audi, one for Spotlight in Australia. Sorry, didn't manage to get one for America. Wasn't there. Okay, and then this week we had our Fun Day Die Day 07, and that was for our cheeky Mrs. C cottage. I really do hope that you guys enjoyed watching that. I'm actually recording this little section before that comes up, so I wonder how many of you joined me. And there was also an inside a crochet, and that was 152, and that was the latest magazine. That's the one that came out this month, last month, end of the month basically, because it turned up while I was away. Right, okay, so that I think is all the videos. I may end up having to add a few more in, and because at the moment I'm editing, uploading and all the rest, so I don't quite know what I'm doing. And this is also being recorded in segments throughout the week as well when I remember stuff. Yeah, brain's still dead. I can't believe I nearly forgot the Come Shop With Me Spotlight Melbourne Australia video. That one of course is definitely going to be linked up here. Right, so now confession. What have we been up to in this house for the last 2 weeks? Well, we weren't here. Weren't even in the UK. No, we packed our bags, we jumped on a plane and we popped over to Australia. I shouldn't really say popped considering how long the flight is to Melbourne, Australia, from the UK. But we did it. We jumped on the plane and we landed at something stupid like 6 o'clock in the morning, their time. And my brother-in-law grabbed us from the airport and drove us directly round to me. Well, we popped round to his house, had a brew at his. Then we jumped back in the car and went round to Mum and Dad's house for about 8:30 in the morning. We're evil. The reason I'm laughing is they didn't know we were coming. We've done this previously where they didn't know, well, my father-in-law didn't know we were coming, but the mother-in-law did. This time round, and neither of them knew that we were turning up. So we've knocked on the door and my father-in-law's opened. He's gone, "All right, Andy," to the first son. He's looked funny at my husband. And then I've gone, "All right, Dad." He's gone, "What, Ange?" "Oh, pants you're all here. And completely lost it for a few moments, looked rather dazed. So invites us in, thankfully, because that's where we planned to stay. He didn't know at that point. And then we've come in with all our luggage and stuff. And I've sneaked into my mother-in-law's bedroom because at the moment they sleep in separate rooms because she has to have a specialised bed because she's not as mobile as she once was. So I've walked in and I've gone, "You right, darling?" And she's gone, "Yeah, I'm fine, thank you." She was expecting her carer. Right? She wasn't expecting me. And she's looked up and she's gone, "You're not my carer." I said, "No, darling, I'm your daughter-in-law." And she went, she's like that, she's rubbing her eyes. She's going, "I'm dreaming." I went, "It's a freaking nightmare, love. You got us for 2 weeks." It was so funny, but it was so cute at the same time. I got the best hug from the pair of them at that moment because they were just so in shock. So we'd spent 2 weeks with them. Now we did actually plan to take them on a little mini holiday. What was it, over the first weekend that we were there, and that all went tits up because in Melbourne, Australia, at that point in time it started raining when we arrived, and it carried on raining. I think in total we only had 4 days where it wasn't raining, and that was the first 4 of our 2 week stint. And it rained so much that the campsite that we'd booked was underwater, and we are talking flood water. We're talking properties on stilts were flooded. The inside of the buildings have been destroyed, absolutely destroyed, because of the amount of water that was there. And I'm trying to keep up with the information, and at the moment it's looking like it's draining away. Fingers crossed that the people that live on the sites permanently can get back and assess the damage. But that's been 2 weeks now since that kicked in and started. So yeah, we didn't manage to do that part of the holiday. But it didn't matter because of course we were with each other as a family, and it was really lovely to sort of go off and do things. Now the problem was, 2 weeks before we flew out, my husband had an accident on his motorbike. He's okay, so I'm going to put it like that, he's okay, but what he did do was damage both hands. Yeah, I was stuck doing that job. I still am. But he'd broken the wrist on one hand, and he had to have an operation on that the week before we flew to get it all pinned back into place. And then on the other hand, his ring finger was dislocated, so they'd had to do some magic trick to get his wedding ring off because it was titanium and they couldn't cut it off. More chance of cutting his finger off and sewing it back on than what they had trying to get that thing off. So he'd dislocated that finger and he'd broken some others, and of course he was covered in bruises. But apart from that, he was okay. The bike is now squished, or what there was of it is squished and gone. But we swear blind it's down to the fact that he was wearing top to toe safety gear. So if you've got a loved one that rides a motorbike, threaten to torch it if they don't put on proper safety gear. And we are talking boots, we are talking trousers, we are talking jackets, we are talking decent helmets. If they don't go out in all of those, threaten to torch and do it. Because at the end of the day, I'd rather have a torch motorbike than a dead husband. But let's get back to the holiday. Sorry about that. That was me doing my little vent about motorcycles. I love them to bits. Right, so we've gone over on the holiday. So I've got my mother-in-law who's still has issues with mobility, and so of course I've turned up and she's gone, "Oh, you can give me a shower." You can, because the girls aren't. I thought the girls were coming today, but they're not. So I'm like, right, okay, so I shower the mother-in-law, then I shower the husband, then I shower me, and then we all go out for the day. So over the course of the 2 weeks, we popped into Melbourne and went round Melbourne Market. They went, the family went off to the zoo as well, but I stayed behind on that day because I was exhausted. So I was just like, let me charge. It wasn't. It was the fact I wanted to crochet. Okay, I wanted to crochet. But I did have a one day, extra special day, pretty much all to myself bar one thing. Before we left, I contacted my gorgeous crazy Kaz. So about a month before we flew out, I contacted a cheeky crazy, our gorgeous Kaz the Aussie Yarnaholic. I also have her on Facebook. She's been on the channel since day dot really. She's one of my 200, what I call my 200, so she's been here for like ever. She's tolerated me forever, so she knows what she's getting into, or she did when she gave me her Facebook info. So I've Facebook messaged her and said, guess what, I've got a secret. And she's like, what's that? I said, I'm coming over to Australia next month. You need to keep it hush hush. No mention of it on the channel, no mention it on Facebook, no nothing. And she's like, well, why? I said, because I don't tell nobody I'm going on holiday until I come back. And she's like, okay, I'll do that. I said, you got a spotlight card, girl? She's going, yeah. I said, got any time off during this period that I'm over? She's gone, yeah. I said, do you want to meet up? She's gone, yeah. So that we made arrangements to meet up. And Kaz was absolutely lovely. She actually came and picked me up. I wasn't expecting that, really wasn't, but it was really lovely because I'd attempted to drive in Australia. It scared me. Don't get me wrong, I didn't have to do it in the end. But you lot are bat crazy over there. I'm bat crazy. Your motorways, you can overtake both sides. You can go whatever speed you want within reason in any lane. Tailgating is a must. I'm just like, it scared the pants off me. It really did. Kaz could tell it as well because I stopped talking every time something scary happened. But me and Kaz, well, she picked me up, we had a wicked hug, and then we've jumped in the car and off we've gone. Now, Kaz took me to 4 independent yarn shops. I've only got the details of one of those because I only bought yarn out of one shop. It was quite bad of me. Ideally, I was going to film in each of the shops, and I did have the camera in my bag. But I looked at Kaz and I went, no. And she went, what? I said, I'm not. Unless you want me to. I said, I'm not actually going to record. And she said, well, why not? I said, because when I record, I don't pay attention to what's going on around me. I don't actually look at the yarn properly for myself. I will literally pick up every bit, read the label, pop it back on the shelf and then come away. That's why in the UK I never seem to buy any yarn in any of the shops. So this way I didn't record any of those shops. I actually enjoyed looking around at the yarn for me. And me and Kaz had a lovely time in the first shop. It was a really beautiful little shop. They had a lot of paintings and a lot of other brands that I recognised, okay, and the ones that I didn't was solid wool, so it wasn't ones that I would could pick up. But Kaz managed to pick up some yarn and we came out of that shop, and then we went into shop number 2. What I'm going to do is ask Kaz for the name of the shops and I will stick them up on one of the sides here. So we went into a shop number 2. I'm trying to think which one that was. That was it was a really open-aired shop. It had a lot of hand-dyed yarn in it, and beautiful yarns along the 2 walls. And the lady that worked in the shop was a very had a lot of information when it came to different hooks and needles and things like that. And of course Kaz was looking for a set of circular needles, so I think she picked up a pair from there. I know she did in the end from somewhere. I can't remember if it was that one or the next one. But we then jumped back in the car again and off we've gone. And before we went into the next shop, we both grabbed a sausage roll. So we had a sausage roll and a drink. And then I popped into the 3rd shop. Now this 3rd shop was absolutely amazing. It was massive, and and what was the name of it? It's called Wondoflex, and I know this because I have my receipt, thankfully. Now this shop it's called Wondoflex Yarn Craft Centre. It is 1353 Malvern Road in Malvern, Victoria, and it's 31.44 if you need it for your sat nav. Now this shop was massive, as I said. It had so much yarn in it, so much, and it was all beautifully laid out in different sections. You had, how to describe it, everything you did, everything. They had a section there where it was just the fluff, where you can sit there and card it and make your own yarn. You had hand dyed yarns in so many different makeups of, like, so you had your wools, you had your alpacas, you had your this, that's and the others. That's the only way to put it. But there was so much yarn to look at. We could have spent hours there, but of course it was free parking, but you only had a certain amount of time, so we were dubious about how much time we were spending. Now I've got a receipt because I did actually pick up 3 balls of yarn, okay, and that is the Peyton's Sierra 8-ply, this one. Now I can only show it to you like this because I made my mother, well, I picked it up because I had a pattern in mind, okay, and it was one that I downloaded, and I thought before we left, and I thought I can make that with it. I'll only need 3 balls because it's quite an open lacy effect top. 3 will be plenty, and it's 150 grams per ball. And I thought that's easily going to be enough. Well, I come home and I show my mother-in-law and she says, oh, that's very pretty. And I'm like, okay, what are you saying here? And she's like, can you make me a jumper? I was like, oh no. So that was one of the reasons I didn't go to the zoo. I needed to finish the jumper. And then to finish off the trip, we went to Spotlight, but it was one I'd not been to before, and we actually found a bin of mill ends, and it was huge. Well, it was compared to other ones that I came across on the holiday, but it was massive. It was a decent size. It was overloaded, and me and Kaz stood there with big fat grins on our faces, and I said to Kaz, all right, what size yarn are you looking for? What sort of thing do you want? And I'm doing the stretches and I'm getting all ready, and Kaz is there and she's about the same, and she's like, right, I would like what was it, I wanted DK, she wanted Aran weight, and so we start diving, and I'm throwing yarn her way, she's throwing yarn my way. There's packs going on the floor that we decided we quite like the look of, and we were having lots of fun and finding multiples of different colours and things like that. So I ended up coming out of there with 5 packs, and I will show that to you in a few moments. But before I do that, here is a spoiler. Here's a photograph of myself and Kaz at the end of our trip where she's dropping me off. So do you want to have a nose at my stash of yarn that I got with when I was with Kaz? Here it is. Minus, of course, the 3 balls that I used for Junie's jumper. Okay, so the first 2 up, and be easy to do like that, is this one here. Oh, it's open. Okay. I don't have a Scooby what it is, but it is a brown with a beige. It's a little bit rough, so I've got a feeling there may be some more content. I will soon find out when I start itching. Okay, and in the packet there is 1, 2, 3, 4 of these, because each of these bags are 400 grams. Okay, so I've got 2 of those, because I thought, oh, that's definitely plenty to make a jumper. I was expecting the mother-in-law to nick this one, because she asked me to get browns. She didn't get browns, did she? She got pinks and blues and all sorts. But, so I got that one. And then I picked up this one as well. Now this one is extremely strange. Okay, now my thought was I'll make a jumper with the brown that I just showed you, and then I'm going to edge it with this stuff, and it's that netted one. So I've got to work out how you use it. If any of you can tell me in the description box down below, I would really appreciate it. But it's tubular. Okay, so it's a tube of netted wool. There we go. I suppose I could turn it into socks. But yeah, so that's what it looks like. But I was thinking maybe I pick up a stitch on the edge and run down the edge with it and gather it. And as I gather it, of course, it will go wibbly wobbly of some sort. I don't know. But I've got 4 balls of that as well. So yeah, completely crazy. Something I have never worked with before. I think I've seen it, but I'm not 100% sure. Okay, so that was those 2. And now on to my 2 safe colour choices. They are safe. Okay, let's just rip the bottom of this one. Oh, that feels nice. Okay, so the first one is this one here. And of course there are 4 of these as well. Now this has got a blue, an off-white, which has got like a pink tinge to it. There is a purples, and there's also a grey muddy green, which is there, which you'll only see as black, but that is a brown. Actually, there's brown in it. How strange, didn't spot that. But there's 4 of those, and then another safe one, she says, looking at it thinking this looks thinner than a 4-ply, is this one here. And this is, yeah, this is a 2. I think this might even be a sock yarn, you know. But that's, there it is. Yeah, I think that's going to be socks. So those, and there's 4 balls of that one as well. If you've got any ideas what they actually are, pop it in the description box down below. So we've got the brown speckle, we'll call it that, brown speckle. We've got the multi-blue, it's not multi-blue, but we'll call it multi-blue for purposes of identification. And then we have the coral splats, because it's got orange, it's coral based with orange, yellow and purple. Yeah, I was a bit crazy on them ones, but yeah, if you can work it, if you know what they are, it would be really cool, so I know what to write down when I'm washing them. It's like, what are the care instructions? So of course, when I got home, I showed Junie the yarns that I chose, and she fell in love with the balls instead of the browns. Okay, so of course I then started the jumper. But so of course I've started making a jumper just at my own head, and I based the pattern loosely, I say loosely, off the cat jumper. You know, the brown and beige one that was sitting on Dory a couple of weeks ago. Well, I'd taken that one to Australia with me, along with the granny square jumper as well, because I thought my mother-in-law may nick the granny square. No, she nicked me cat jumper, the only jumper I've ever made that actually fitted me. But she nicked it, right? So that was that. She saw that on day 2 of me being there, and that was it. It went in her bedroom. It didn't come out again, and she hid that so that I couldn't take it home with me. So I used the measurements off of the cat jumper to make her new jumper, and of course I had one of her other jumpers laying on the floor so I can measure it up, so I didn't have to keep measuring her. So I made this jumper, and I'm crocheting away, and I'm right speed demon, and I got to the sleeves and I'm like, okay, how much yarn have I got left? So I weighed it on the kitchen scales, and there was 101 grams. And I'm thinking, 101 grams? I'm using solid double crochets. I don't think there's going to be enough. But I'm still going ahead, and I'm still making this long sleeve. So I've done the long sleeve and I was so chuffed with it. It looked brilliant. And she tried it on with her long sleeve and she's gone, yep, I like it, just the right size. And then I weighed the yarn again and I only had 25 grams left. And I'm like, I haven't got enough. And this is, what was this, Wednesday? Right? No, not Wednesday, sorry, Thursday. So my husband's gone, well, we can jump in the car, darling, and we can find that shop again and you can pick up some more. I had a banging headache coming on and I looked at him, I said, I've got to go over the bridge and I've got to go on the motorway to get to it. He looked at me, he went, okay then, darling, what are you going to do instead? So I turned to my mother-in-law and said, oi, love, you live in Australia. I said, you don't need a long sleeve jumper. I went, I'm ripping it back and you're getting short sleeves. She's like, no, that's fine. Because at the end of the day, it's coming into summer. Did she really need a long sleeve when she'd already knit my cat jumper? So I stripped it back and then created short sleeves. So there will be a pattern coming up next week, hopefully, with this jumper, which I'm going to be calling the Junie bug jumper. I'll let you. June is her name, and I like to call her Junie. And bug, you can lengthen that word, because that's what I was calling her by the end of it. But yeah, so that pattern will hopefully be available next week for you. I'll stick a message up on the community tab once it's done. I'm in the process of typing it up at the moment and I'm getting in a right old kerfluffle with it, but that's me, isn't it? Right, so on the Thursday we jumped in the car, or in my brother-in-law's car I should say, and we went to get some donuts because he wanted to show off this really cool donut shop. And yes, it was really cool. Yes, the donuts were really nice. But before we got to the donut shop, I managed to talk him into stopping at Spotlight. So we went to the local Spotlight, and that is where me and my daughter jumped out and recorded the video that you have seen this week for the Spotlight store. And I was so excited, I was so chuffed about doing it, but we only had a limited amount of time because the boys had gone off to get something else and were coming to pick us up. So we had a 30-minute timer, 30 minutes to record and to buy yarn, because my husband said, make sure you get some more, because like my brother's lending us another suitcase. And he went off and actually got some what was it, airlock bags, the ones that you stick everything in and then use a hoover and suck the air out of. So he went to get some of them because he thought I was going to go completely crazy. I didn't in the end. I only came out with another 5 bags. Do you want to see? Right, so bag number 1 is this green one here. Now, as you can see, I've already started working with it. I was working with it on the plane. I was trying to invent another top, but I couldn't get my head around a certain stitch I wanted to use, and I haven't actually made a tutorial for that stitch yet either, so I've really got to get my head around it, and then I can record a tutorial to add to the written pattern for the jumper that I've got in my head, that's written down in my book but not completely. Did you follow? Because I'm lost. But anyway, here is the first bag. Now this one is shades of green, and it's teals, and then it goes lighter, and then you've got an off-white. Okay, so in there's 4. And then I picked up some naughty yarn, really. I picked up some Lime brand yarn, and it's the mandala, and it's mandala ombre, and I got 3 of those. Now they were really good priced, but I cannot find my receipt, so I can't tell you how much I paid for them. But just know, I never pay full price for any yarn. Okay, and then the rest of it's in my airlock bag. So let's try and open this and get it to unlock, I suppose. Let's take that stupid thing off. These will be a little bit squished But we have one here that has got greys, a light grey, a dark grey, a green and a blue. So there we go. Next one up is this one, and this is greys and blacks. Let's see what. That's a nice soft one as well. It's a thin 3, or sorry, thin DK. Okay, what was the other one? Sorry. It's a little bit rougher, and it's a standard DK. Okay, then I got. Can you tell I was going through a blue phase? It wasn't actually a great deal of choice. This next one is also quite a nice soft one. It's different shades of blue. So quite it's looking quite similar to the ball on camera as well, which is quite good. It's quite a nice soft one, and that again is a DK weight. It's got a slippery feel to it. It does remind me of something, and I can't think of the name of it. But I might have to have a nose at my video the other day and see if I can spot it on the shelf. Because I did actually spot a yarn that I'd brought in a mill end bag last time we went over, which was before I started my channel. I actually spotted it on the shelf. So I've actually held the camera a lot longer on that spot, so I now know what the yarn is. And that was the yarn I used for the elephant that I made quite a while ago. I'll see if I can pop in a picture now for you. I am getting so distracted, it's unbelievable. But let's finish going through the bag. There's only the one left. Only the one. I can go over there now. Okay, so the very last one out is this one here. Now this has got a green. Sorry, there we go. It's got, as you can see here, we've got a green at the bottom. Then it goes a light purple. That is actually a dark purple. Then it goes into a dark blue. I think that's all the colours in there. Again, this is a thicker 3, or a DK, sorry, a thicker DK. It's really lovely and soft as well. So there you go. That's that one there. Any ideas what any of them are? So of course I've got the 4 balls of that as well, which is 400 grams, and I'm hoping that I can mix this one in with maybe a couple of the others to see what comes out. You never know. You never know what this crazy comes up with. Right, so on our last evening we took our mother and father-in-law out for dinner. Of course, it was my father-in-law's 80th birthday, which was one of the reasons why we'd gone over. The other reason was that my mother-in-law had escaped again from hospital after being given yet another death sentence. But instead, she got a nanny reboot. So all was good. So that's one of the reasons, of course, why I've been a bit off since the end of June, was because that was what was going on with my mother-in-law. But of course, she's happy, she's healthy, and she's out of hospital, which is a bonus. And so we went over, we took him, sorry, we're already over there. We took my dad out for a birthday meal, and I had to drive home because all of them were drinking, and they know that I'm not really much of a drinker. And it was his birthday, so why should he have to drive? So we jump in the car to come home, and by this point I'd driven the car about 4 or 5 times. And I've got a rough idea of the area, so I know roughly where I am. But we've gone further afield than what I was used to, and I wasn't really paying attention on the way out. So when it came to driving home, we're all in the car, and we come out of the car park, and I say to the family, left or right? And they went, yeah, you're right. I said, what do you mean I'm right? Yeah, you go left. I thought, oh, here we go. So I take a left, And off we go down the road. Now please remember, I'm dyslexic. I get my left and right confused at the best of times, but with three of them taking the mickey out of left and rights and telling me I'm right when I say do I go left, it got quite confusing. So after 4 or 5 junctions where they'd each picked a different direction, each told me a different way to go, and none of them were really paying attention, I just looked in the mirror at them and went, right, enough's enough. Which one of you is the most sober and can give me the correct directions home? Luckily, I only had to go through another 2 junctions before I realised where I was, and I could drive home whilst ignoring all the drunken giggles in the back. But it was an absolutely lovely holiday that we had over there, even if my mother-in-law has nicked my favourite jumper. But the flight home was also quite strange because when we got there wasn't the crowds that we were expecting. And it turned out there was only 60 people on our plane. So it meant that on the long haul section of the flight, we got an entire set of 3 seats to ourselves each, because the staff on the plane just turned around and said, pick a seat. Don't worry about it, sit where you want. So we all had 3 seats so we could all stretch out and sleep basically the last 14 hours, which was really lovely because on the way over there the plane had been crowded, there was no chance of moving, and I had husband in a cast on one side, so of course he had to have the room for his cast, so I felt like I was sort of sitting there constantly like this, squidged, unless I managed to put my chair back and I could hide my arm underneath his. And then I had my daughter on the other side, and she had all of our art supplies all over the place, so she was elbows. So I had elbows to the left and elbows to the right on the way out, so it was pretty squished. So then on the way back, it was so lovely just to be able to stretch out over 3 seats and sleep. It was lovely. So when we landed, hubby took the first little bit of driving because he was like, I can do this now. And I'm like, right, okay. So he did a little bit of driving, and then I took on the main, like he did the straight bits basically, and then I took on the weaving roundabouts and all that sort of stuff for the last bit. We got in, everything got unpacked, and the washing machine was started within 10 minutes. So everything's back to normal. And then Besties was the one that was looking after Liam. Oh, he was a right cantankerous toad. How can I put this politely? He was sharing the room with one of her boys, and he idolises this lad, and the lad was taking him out for his walks. He would take him out for a walk before he went to school in the morning, take him out for a walk in the evening, play with him and all the rest of it. Now they've got another 2 dogs as well, but he took on all of the extra care outside of the house for Liam, right? So Liam absolutely idolised him. Well, he was sitting in his room playing on his computer, and I don't think he was paying Liam as much attention as Liam wanted. So Liam urinated over his PC tower, and it went kaboom. And Liam's sitting there with a big fat grin on his face. I got told this on the Wednesday. We're like, okay, don't panic, we will fix that and we'll have that done for him within a week. Liam's a cantankerous snotbox. But they brought him home, and he's come up to the door and he's all happy, and he just didn't know who to jump on and harass first. But once he'd gone round harassing us all and got fusses and everything, he then went and sat on one of his beds and completely ignored us for 2 hours. Gave us the complete and utter cold shoulder until the toys came out, and then he was happy again because he had new presents that is already trashed. Oh well, squeakers are gone, I just got to sew them back up. Now for the best bit of this video, which is your photographs. So I've made you wait 2 weeks. Come on, let's go and see what Ray gave us this week. So, Ray, have you got any more photos for me, girl? I've run out. Now it's time for competition draws, and our first one was from the Whips, Bits and Chat 129. Now if you managed to watch that all the way through to the end, now it was only a short and sharp one, you were given the option of joining in to win yourself a copy of one of two patterns. Now the first one up for grabs was Accident Prone Elephant, and I asked you to pop in the word ape somewhere within your comment. We only had a few comments on that video. In total there was 5. Okay, and out of those 5, 3 of you put down ape. So we have a Go Joe, we have Sonia M, and Teresa Handmade Gifts. So here we go. I've got all of you on the spin wheel thing. There we go. Oh, I don't know if you can see that. And you've all got 2 goes. So let me hold this correctly, and good luck everybody. Oh. Sonia, congratulations, you've gone and won it. So that is Sonia Marshall. Okay, and then the second one was for Spooktacular. Now there was only one of you that actually put down Spectacular, so congratulations Sabrina, you've only gone and won it, girl. So to both our Sabrina and Sonia, if you could both send me over an email stating that you'd won today's competition, that would be absolutely brilliant. You have a week to claim, okay, so that is a week from today. Make sure that you pop in your title there in the description section. It's to do with this video and winning. Lovely jubbly. Right, as you can tell, my brain is starting to shut down, so I'm going to head off now. Thank you ever so much for watching the video all the way through, and remember to stay chilled, stay happy and keep crafting. Ta-ra for now everybody.